You're listening to KTWH. I'm Leo Babeu, and I have an opportunity today to visit with an actor, a film actor who's in town. He's got a mission, I think, a job that he's working on. His name's Paul Cram, and Paul is staying in Two Harbors while working on a film, and he's got some interesting insights onto film opportunities in Minnesota and some pending legislation. Paul, I may have to cut you off because they only give me so much time, but welcome to Two Harbors.
Thank you, Leo. It's great to be chatting with you.
You want to, I don't know how much you're allowed to reveal, to pull back the covers on the project that you're in town working on. Have been filming already yet this week, you were saying.
Yeah, we were filming just last night. We've been filming in downtown Two Harbors. I'm just going to go with I think it's a pseudo title. I don't know. Right now it's called Film du Nord, and I think the title's going to change. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's, just for listeners, I'm sure some people maybe have seen us go filming around in different locations around the city and stuff, but the project, the genre is like a mystery thriller. There's two of the lead actors are from Korea, and the story revolves around them visiting somewhere around the North Shore. Maybe it's in Minnesota. It's one of those cool things where they're kind of like, this is in the Midwest somewhere. They're not putting.
They're not going for
precise.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not putting the Fargo spin on it, where we know profoundly that this is supposed to be Minnesota.
Exactly. But for people that know, it's like, oh yeah, that's Minnesota, and that's the North Shore. The mystery piece comes in. They're visiting, and there's, I'm not sure if I can say that, but I'm just going to say it anyway. So anybody forgive me. It might be a spoiler. There is a little bit of a murder, and they get involved in something, and they don't speak English terribly well, and it unravels into something very interesting. So I'm hopeful that audiences will enjoy it.
So we have things that may get lost in translation along their journey, or plot twists that we may or may not see coming, and is there a little bit of there's not the occult involved, the little things beyond understanding?
No, not really. Nope.
Okay, because I was just trying to imagine what niche. Everybody wants to put these films into boxes.
Yes.
The three-word description. This one,
it's funny, Leo, because my history in film, like if people look up my filmography and just the films I've been involved in, I've done a lot of scary, dark thriller, even a lot of horror movies and things like that. And this one, what is exciting is it's a completely different genre for me in a way. I mean, this is, when I say mystery thriller, it definitely has a mystery element to it, which I love. I love reading, Agatha Christie mysteries and all those kind of things. So this script specifically, when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, I kept turning the pages. I was like, this is interesting. So I'm excited that it's filming up here and specifically in Minnesota as well. I am Minnesota-based. I think you mentioned that. But yeah, I'm based in Minnesota. I've lived here my whole life. I travel the nation working on film projects, but I have been so fortunate to be able to do that and have Minnesota as a base.
Is that possibly a reason you got the call for this movie, because of your location? Did it actually pay off for you to be based here?
Specifically for this, I can't imagine that. I'm not going to fool anybody. I am not George Clooney. I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not getting phone calls where they're like, we must have you in our movie.
Right.
I'm not that.
I thought perhaps we need to have a native Minnesotan in this movie, because you'll give it some context. You'll give it some authenticity or something. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. No, yes, 100% yes. And my character, there's a bit of a duality to him, which I think is going to be really fun to see. I can't tell you what that duality is, but I could tease you with it. Where yes, there's some definite, we're going to say, Minnesota-isms, and they're very fun. And absolutely, I'm sure that's part of the reason why they cast me, is because of having a bit of that Midwestern.
So how do we imagine that a movie like this gets made? Is this a movie that depends upon hundreds of thousands of dollars as opposed to tens and hundreds of millions that a Hollywood production costs? Is this one of the kinds of movies that are hanging on and have limited number of days they can get it all done in? Otherwise, the whole thing collapses and the investors say, what's happening?
I am so glad that you are able to differentiate between that. I know there's some, I don't, like my nephews, they're younger, and they're always like, oh my gosh, like, you're in a movie. Okay, so when is it, when is the movie, and I'm like, hold up. There's grades of movies where just because you're a movie, it can be high schoolers with the video camera making a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different grades, and then you can
Yeah.
have 20th Century Fox shooting a multi-million-dollar production. You know what I mean? So this one falls under. This does not have like a studio behind it yet,
Right.
so it's not like millions and millions of dollars. But the budget on it is quite. I don't know the exact numbers because they don't tell me all of that, but they have a really nice budget, and the two lead actors are from Korea. The director, Giovanni Fumu, he's from Italy. You know, there's some really cool elements to this, and they're using their money really wisely. Something I want to mention, Leo, is because we're filming here in, the Iron Range-ish area and this North Shore, there's this beautiful there's basically a tax credit, I believe, and they're tapping into that. So even they're able to take their budget and make it go even further because of that incentive.
So Paul, can we unpack that a little bit? There's a regional incentive as opposed to a statewide, because that was another thing we were going to talk about is the Minnesota Filming Tax Credit. I believe that is a passion of yours to try to explain to people. So are you saying that our Iron Range, because Two Harbors is literally in the Iron Range Resource Board area, but don't ask an Iron Ranger whether we're on the Iron Range here, because they would scoff. But we are in the region that gets the same economic incentive. So you're saying in our region we have a movie making
You do,
benefit?
and I believe this film, Film du Nord, I think is the second movie, if I'm not mistaken, to tap into it. Like, I think that this tax incentive is new, like past, I think it was if I'm not mistaken, in November of last year. So Film du Nord is it's not the first, but it's one of the first to tap into it. And yes, it is a passion of mine. I hope people can hear it in my voice. For myself as an actor, being able to work on these projects, I see it time and time again. Not just in Minnesota. I've worked in Boston, I've worked in Hollywood, I've worked all over the place, and consistently it is states and places that have tax incentives and tax credits in place that get the work. Because, especially if you're working on a project that has those millions of dollars, I mean, a tax credit really starts to be a big deal. I'm not sure. Did I answer your question, though? Like you were asking specifically about here in this area.
I think what's interesting is if the state of Minnesota right now they have under consideration in our current state legislative session part of the omnibus tax bill to pass a statewide movie-making tax credit. And we actually have a microcosm, apparently, from what you're saying. We have a part of the state that's already experiencing the benefit that could bring.
Yes, you do. Right here in the. I keep saying Iron Range because part of the reason I keep saying that too is Dave Liffelgard. He's one of the reps. He authored the statewide film tax incentive, and that I'm just going to reference it just so people know what it is. It's HF 991 and SF 961, and that statewide incentive is. Right now, literally, Leo, as you and I are talking, there's a committee going on, kind of wrestling back and forth. I know you and I actually basically have had to go back to my civics 101 in high school and what in the world is going on? How bills get passed and how these things work is not my forte per se, but it's been interesting to work on, really supporting this statewide incentive and learn a little bit about what's going on, because listeners, a lot of them probably know this. I had to look it up because I was I'm not understanding why, because back, if we rewind a few weeks back, the House, they included this tax incentive in their tax committee, and then the Senate, they were very interested in it, but they didn't include it. So what happened, and bear with me, everybody, if this is too basic, but because the two don't match, because the House and the Senate, because their tax bills do not match, it has to go into a committee, and they actually have to do politicking, I'm assuming arguing back and forth and trying to make the two match.
Yes,
so that
the conference committee process involves, if not chastising, it involves maybe horse trading. I'll
there you go.
I'll give you this if you give me that. Yeah, we haven't had our local legislator on during this session. During COVID, things have gotten a little complicated to follow along at home. So what you're saying is, as far as you know, this Minnesota filmmaking tax incentive is in the House bill, not in the Senate. And if folks would like that to be included, they'd have to let their legislators know, let's get that done in committee.
Yep. Exactly. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard that committee wasn't able to come to an agreement per se on. I'm not this specific item, but I think the whole thing. So I hear that they might have to be doing a special session next month.
Yes, and then what gets to be part of the special session often has to be predetermined in advance, Paul, and now I'm at the end of my civic skills. I'd have to go back to my local legislator, Mary, and ask her for sure. I do know it would be good. I would like to reintroduce you to people who are joining us. I'm speaking with Paul Cram, a film actor who's in Two Harbors, working on a set. I think you're not done filming yet, Paul, and
Not done filming yet. No, I filmed like a huge stunt sequence just last night in downtown Two Harbors there.
Wow.
It was really, really fun. Yeah. And I'm filming again down at, I believe, the airport here. Is that in Duluth? I believe that's in Duluth.
Well, the international airport is in Duluth. Two Harbors, of course, has its own humble municipal airport just out of town. It has an airport as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I am filming. Leo, I could be filming here at the airport here. I'm not sure which airport, but I was assuming Duluth, and it might be this one here. But yeah, I'm not done quite yet. I have a couple of more days to shoot and stuff. So
great. I just wanted folks to know, Paul, that you've been letting us know about that Minnesota movie-making tax incentive, an actual tax credit that's in the committee process. And if you could just say again what the House and the Senate file numbers were, that if people are interested in tracking that.
I can do that, Leo. It's HF 991 and SF 961. I hope that this is all right. I know that if people want to kind of keep track or even take a closer look, the union that I'm in, SAG-AFTRA, they actually have a lot of this on their website. If you just went to sagaftra.org and you just typed in, Minnesota tax credit, there's a lot of information if people wanted to even contact. It's SAGAFTRA.org. Yep, sagaftra.org.
Oh, AFTRA.org. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Paul, it's been fun talking to you, but I didn't want to leave without maybe asking you. You say you're a native Minnesotan who has remained here or based out of Minnesota while trying to pursue an acting career in a wide range of film opportunities. How does that work for you? Does it really matter where an actor is based? Do you need to be closer to where those creatives out in California allegedly are?
Leo, I want to say, like, I think 20 years ago or 30 years ago, it really, really mattered. We're starting to really get into a sphere where you don't necessarily have to live in California or in New York. That's my perspective on it. I'm sure people that live in those spaces might have a different story, but here in Duluth, I do want to. I'll chat more about that. But there's even something wonderful called Catalyst, and it's a wonderful. It's not a film festival; it's actually a content festival. So it's attracting people from around the world actually to come here around this area and create content, TV shows, just things like that. So all of these wonderful things like Catalyst Fest and the tax credit stuff that is specifically regional up here, up on the North Shore and in the Iron Range, is really going to benefit the area up here. And I know I'm kind of going backwards and forwards, but for myself, I'm seeing the benefits of that as an actor and, being here and able to support local businesses and stuff, as well as supporting myself by earning a paycheck. It's been, I will say, I don't want people to think like this is a super easy thing to do.
Right.
To be an actor who is based in Minnesota it has a very unique set of challenges. I'll be 100% transparent. I am able to, I would say that acting, we're not going to count the 2020 pandemic year because I wasn't able to work on much, but nobody was.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But in general, as an actor, I am able to work part-time. So that is, I have other jobs that I do. I'm also a graphic designer. So I don't want people to have the impression that it's like, oh my gosh, pie in the sky, simple, it's easy. No, it's not. It's actually really challenging to balance and be able to do
I appreciate that, Paul, because yes, I want the young folks that are coming out of Two Harbors High School or out of our colleges now to know that you have to be pretty resourceful to do what you're doing. And a lot of them are, so that they can do it. It's just not a cookie cutter by the numbers kind of career.
No, absolutely. And I want people to know, too, like right out of high school, I worked at a casting director's office and, fast forward a couple of decades, and for the time and energy that I've put into creating this career, I'm still working part-time. So that's where it's an interesting thing to think about. It's like, well, how much money? If you wanted to purely look at it from the standpoint of money, income, it's like that maybe isn't the best option in the world for you. But I'm really happy, and I'm loving the work that I'm doing as a performer. And this is part of the reason as well, Leo, why I'm excited to be working, and why I'm excited to see these regional tax incentives, and I'm excited to see this conversation happening on a state level. It's exciting to me because if something like that passes, I can guarantee there will be way more movie productions and film productions and TV productions that will come not only to the state, but here in the on the North Shore and in the Iron Range. It's inevitable. The tax credits, and they just attract that kind of work. So hopefully that wasn't too long of an answer, Leo.
And time will tell whether the legislature gets it done this year, and it may be right back on their docket in the next legislative session if it doesn't get hashed out in this conference session. But Paul, it may soon be that people have to get much more used to seeing film crews of different sizes rolling into town.
Yes,
telling people not to come down this street between these hours and such. We could probably handle a few interruptions. If it's a daily occurrence, who knows? There might be an interesting pushback from the community. But everybody wants to be an extra in a movie someday in their lives, right?
Well, and even you might, if as projects happen too. I mean, you might get a little annoyed because statistics show that when projects are shooting, that tourism gets a big, huge boost as well. So you might be like, I don't know. There's a lot more people around.
Right, and we don't have many roads into and out of our town, so there's a little concern there, Paul. But I wish you well on the rest of your shoot, especially if you are going to the Two Harbors Airport. You'll have lots of elbow room. If you're going to Duluth, I don't know what that shoot at the Duluth airport will be like, but we certainly wish you luck on the rest of the filming and in your career. And it's really been fun visiting with you. I hope we see you up again here doing another project in the not so distant future.
Me as well, Leo. I've really appreciated it, and I hope listeners have an amazing day.
Thanks a lot, Paul. We'll see you. This is Leo for KTWH. We're just speaking with film actor Paul Cram, who's been wandering our streets and filming in our streets and apparently doing stunts in our streets. So we'll look for that film, and we'll give you information when we know more about its release and distribution in the future. This is Leo for KTWH.